Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Good to see you. Happy day after the long weekend. For those of you in the U.S. celebrating the 4th of July weekend, officially celebrated yesterday, so I took the day off. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'll tell you about mine. I missed you, but I feel like we had a great show on Friday. We'll come back to that. I want to say good morning to Kira. Good morning, Donna in Alberta. Good morning, Robin in Wisconsin. Kirsten and Jill. Good morning, Jill. I'm getting your thing out today. I think it's the right time, right? Um, Kirsten, Martha. Good to see you. I was working on the buttons, Martha. I was working on the buttons. I got designs going for those, so I'll shoot you an email. Suze, good to see you in Kansas and Penny in North Carolina. I see. I already know. I've gotten to know where everybody's from. It's a good feeling. Kaz, good morning. Also in Wisconsin. Tara, good morning. Good to see you. And Joy, good to see you. You know, Joy, I finally got my wool. I had ordered wool like 2 weeks ago from Door, and it's been stuck in New Haven for a week. And I need to finish dyeing for your project, for your Abenaki, but it just arrived. So I'll be doing that this afternoon. I'm gonna actually leave the studio early today to finish my dyeing projects because I'm in an awful state when my wool does not arrive for like an extended amount of time. I'm gonna just have to just keep it like constantly coming. I go through it faster than I think is possible, and it's not cheap, but yeah. But now I've got my wholesale account and everything, so things are coming together. Christine, great to see you. Jennifer, great to see you. I haven't had time. Jennifer sent me some great information about two of the rugs that I used for bingo, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. And I need to print out those images because Jennifer knew off the top of her head what two of them were that I couldn't figure out and Kira couldn't figure out. There was like a Pinterest dead link. So I'm going to print those tomorrow and I'll show those just in case you were interested too. A couple of them were just really beautiful and distinctive, and it's worth knowing whose designs they are. So I'll update tomorrow. Mom, how are you? And my mom just wrote, she's so happy because, you know, we have our first Hook in Book Club coming up on Sunday, this coming Sunday, July 11th. And my mom's book was stuck in like God knows where. It came from Amazon, and it was like she ordered it 3 weeks ago or something, and it showed a date of coming after the Hook and Book Club event, which was frustrating. And I said, why don't you just cancel the order, because obviously they are writing it, handwriting it onto a piece of papyrus or something. But amazingly, it came in time, so you'll have time to read it. What's so exciting, if you're just joining us, about the Hook and Book event, is it's our first book club meeting. We're going to do a monthly book club meeting, and this one is with the author Evna Monahan. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right because Irish names are hard. But it's a great story, and it does have a plot line that features a group of rug hookers, and that is so uncommon to find that. So it is a very nice, feel-good story, very well-written story, and the author will be with us on that Zoom call this coming Sunday night at, Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because she's actually in the UK, so she's 5 hours ahead of us. And the information for that Zoom call is in the link to this video. So if you click on that now, later, whatever, and then you save that date, it will remind you. Now, you don't have to have read the whole book to get on the call, to hear the author speaking and answering questions. You don't have to. You don't have to put your camera on the Zoom calls if you don't like to have your camera on. If you just want to be there live, enjoying, joining in any sort of capacity, whatever is fine. It's all fine. If you haven't read the book at all, it's still fine to join in. You might decide by listening in whether you'd be interested in reading the book. So it's also available on Audible, and a lot of libraries carry it through Hoopla, the program Hoopla. So if you have a library that has Hoopla, they will have it on there. And it doesn't have the sort of 10 other people have it out, you can't have it right now thing. It's just universally okay to download it. So those are some options before Sunday that might work. So, oh, Beverly, good morning. Cindy, good morning from Northern Illinois. Good to see you. And Cynthia, good morning. Good to see you. Doreen, good morning, afternoon. That's right. We're right on the edge. Oh, oh, right. All the buddies are here. Let's see. I'll keep it open. Lisa, great to see you. You're currently reading it. I hope you're enjoying it. It is a really sweet book. Kate Monahan, the book isn't due to arrive until the 11th. Oh, that's aggravating. That's really aggravating. But you know, for my mother, it was like even further out and it came early. But again, you're super welcome to join in the call. Nobody's going to put you on the spot. Nobody's going to say at all, like, oh, what did you think of the ending? Or, what sort of plot twists really struck you as interesting? Nobody's going to say anything like that. I'm going to sort of start by leading and asking Dayavna questions about her experience with rug hooking, her information, where she's from, the different aspects of the book. And I'm hoping that other people will jump in and ask her some questions too, so I can relax a little while and hook too. But and I hope that you all are thinking of whether you might want to be the person who gives us the book for next month, because I don't want to be the queen bee who does it every month. I want it to be a joint thing. So if anybody has a great idea, put it forward in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, or send me a message, or whatever you think. But whatever you choose, if it's a contemporary book, if it's a classic book, whatever you think, if it's one of your favorite books, it does not have to do with rug hooking. And it will be, I think, pretty impossible to find one that does. So anything that you enjoyed, I bet we'll enjoy it too. So feel free to get in touch, contact, or put something up on our page, because that would be a great relief to me if somebody chose the next book. I love to ride the coattails too sometimes. Debbie, good to see you. Carol, good to see you. Yeah, it was a cute book. Relda, good to see you. Lori, good to see you. Should you use the text question before? Should we use the text question before Zoom or submit questions? No, I would submit questions. Just you'll be able to speak directly on Zoom too. I'm going to enable other people. Of course, it'll be like a regular Zoom call. So if you want me to ask a question on behalf of you, then definitely send a question in advance. But you are super welcome to. I'm not interviewing her in a formal manner. I'm just one of the people on the Zoom call, so I'll get it going. But I'm hoping other people will jump in like crazy and say things too, so it's not like quite so heavy for me with question and answer. If it turns out that it is, I can do it and it'll be great. But if I don't have to do that and a lot of other questions come in, that's even better. And I think it'll make Dayavna feel better too, to know that so many people are interested in the book. Barbara, great to see you. Good morning. Anne, good morning. Great to see you. You're visiting Newfoundland next month. What's the situation right now with Canada? Is the border open yet? I'm just assuming it's not, but I'm ready to go at any moment. So I'd love to hear that it is. Speaking of which, my class coming up, for those of you who are anywhere near Cape Cod, I have a class coming up. Already forgot the dates. On July 17th is my first class coming up at Salt Air Yarn in Dennis, on Route 6A in Dennis, Cape Cod. I'm doing a class, it's Saturday, this date, punch needle, rug hooking and punch needle, and it comes with 2 kits. And it's a very inexpensive class. I think it's like just over 100, something like that. So I'm trying to keep the price very low to get some new people interested and involved. That's coming up, and then I have another date coming up on Sunday, August 15th. And I also have a date coming up in August. For those of you who are in Connecticut who would like some live teaching, I'll be teaching in Connecticut at Madison Wool in Madison, Connecticut, beautiful area, on Saturday, August 7th. So that's another new teaching date for me. I've got a date perking also in Vermont, but these are the 3 that are coming up in the very near future. So I'm teaching all of those, and I bring my kit, my supply, and all of that. So it'd be great to see you if you can come out in person. Again, border's still closed. Okay. I'm awaiting on that. I'm definitely awaiting on that. But so anyway, so that's the news for right now. The book club meeting is coming up. I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to show you. I will put the eagle out. I was waiting to work on my eagle. I was waiting for the wool to come from Door, and now it has, so I can work on dyeing the rest of that this afternoon. I've gotten a lot of emails because that is one of our kits for this month, the eagle. And yeah, the 4th of July is over, and the eagle beat me up, and it took a long time to get to a good color place with him, but the colors really are great now, if I do say so myself. And it's going to be a wonderful kit if you're interested. Certainly, you don't just need an eagle for the 4th of July. An eagle is great for before we know it, I don't even want to say it, it's going to be Labor Day. You're going to want an eagle for Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, every holiday. So, at least in the U.S. So that's coming up really soon. It is also, I'm not sure if you noticed, National Ice Cream Month. So there are going to be a few ice cream patterns that are coming forth as well that are super, super pretty. Discussion questions in the back of mine. Oh, are there book discussion questions? Maybe too in depth for a Zoom call, but good for. Okay, I'll look at that. I didn't even notice. I'll look at that and see what the questions are. Yes, please give us a thumbs up. So, a bunch more things to tell you, but you might have noticed there's something behind me. So, I made a last minute plan this weekend. If you noticed on Friday, I was at my mother's. I think, and she's way in the north west corner of Connecticut, right on the Massachusetts town line, like the last town on the line. I was up there filming with kids in our balloon hats and having a great old 4th of July kickoff. So I headed up there. I think we had a great session on Friday night. I hope you enjoyed it if you watched. It was a great book that I was covering. Ellen Talent, I think it was, Lady Ellen Talent. And it was just a super small, really charming book with a lot of ideas, thoughts, quotes, passages that we've never heard before. It put me in such a happy, cozy mood, and I hope it was a good episode for you too. I really enjoyed it, especially enjoyed it. It brought up a lot of ideas, a lot of new questions, a lot of sort of brainstorming material. It also brought up the thing with the sacks, and I've been thinking about that all weekend, the idea of putting together a really organized exhibit using old-time feed sacks as women originally did, using them to hook onto. Just, for me, portions of them that don't obscure what is a historic and beautiful graphic underneath. But I showed some examples. I just hooked a couple of pumpkins onto a feed sack that was orange and black, and I just loved the way that it came out. And I have been over the weekend working on commentary because I am definitely decided that I'm going to upload a bunch of commentary that people can print out. Anybody can print out 4 sheets if you would like to plan a library exhibit the way that I'm planning a library exhibit with my feed sacks. And I was thinking, at least in the libraries where I've done exhibits before, there's usually some kind of soft board that you pin to. I'm thinking with the finished feed sacks, the little bits that I hook into my feed sacks to use in the exhibit, to say, these are the origins of rug hooking. This is what women did back in the day. They opened up a feed sack, they hooked into the burlap, and this is what that looked like. Maybe put a rug hook into the exhibit, but I'm going to put all the text available online that you can monkey with or doctor or change or edit however you want. But I want to at least put a skeleton for an exhibit that is good enough to use in whole if you want to plan an exhibit at your library. And I'm planning to just pin the feed sack without mounting, without finishing, without framing, without any support, right onto the backing of our library displays, which are, again, always this sort of padded material with tacks available, because that would be perfect, just to sort of boost the awareness of rug hooking, tell a little bit about the history of it. It's even a thought to see if your library has a slot. For example, in the fall, October, November, September, October, November, where you might want to do like a harvest theme on your sacks and maybe hook a little scarecrow or pumpkins like I did, or more toward Christmas, get a sack and hook like a wreath or, something. You know what you're feeling, what the availability of the library is, because they're often booked way out for these little exhibits. But I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to make that material available definitely within the next 2 weeks. It's not a lot more writing for me. I'm like almost there. So I'll post that, and you know that you'll be able to use that. And please let me know if you are planning an exhibit and you're doing this, because I'd love to create like a little network where we all know where these exhibits are, and for people around you to be able to go to look at your little feed sacks that you hooked part of. That would be a great thing. That would just be a fun thing for everybody to be able to put them on a map. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. I'm glad you got that book. There's not a lot of copies of that out there, and I know a few people got that book. So hopefully there's still a couple copies out there for people who are interested. So I ended up taking a last-minute trip. It was, last year was a washout for the 4th of July, not literally, but because of COVID, and nothing happened. And so this year was a washout literally in Connecticut. Like the forecast was just hammering biblical rain for 4 days. So I thought, you know what? I looked at the forecast, and the further north you went, the better the chance of there not being any rain. So I went up to my mom's, and then I decided to take an impromptu jaunt up to Vermont, which turned out to, because it's right over the Massachusetts line again. Massachusetts is a long, narrow state, and to go across it the small way is not that much of a trip. So I just crossed over into Vermont, and there I found two of the best rugs that I own. You know, when you see these great rugs, they're usually, I see them and I can't afford them. They're in the thousands and I can't afford them. But I picked up two rugs this weekend that both from the trip into Vermont, that are extraordinary, and one of them is behind me. And let me just show you first before we get into anything else. I'll get out of the way. But this rug behind me is mounted, and I'll show you how that's mounted if you haven't seen that before. This I got on the main street of Woodstock, and this is not Woodstock of the concert. It's not Woodstock, New York. It's Woodstock, Vermont. There's two little antique stores right next to each other, and they both look super fancy. One of them just said antiques. So I pulled in there, and I checked out what she had, and she didn't have any hooked rugs. And it was definitely on the high price side, but God, it was filled with gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. And she said, walk across the little driveway, because it was like people's actual houses, over to Eric's place. And it turned out to be Eric Nesbitt's place. And it's in this beautiful little house right on the main street. And I just went in, you know, kids in the car waiting. And I said, I'm just looking for hooked rugs. You know, I'm just right to the point, because that's the way life is with kids in the car. And he said, hey, Catherine. And he said, I have one up on the wall. Let me show it to you. And I thought, fantastic. And I was looking around at all of the amazing things that he had, and I thought, this is going to be one of those great rugs that I just can't afford, and it gives me stomach cramps, and I literally dream about it, but I could afford it, and I bought it. And this is it right here. Let me get out of the way. I'm gonna move the camera today a little bit, because I want to show you some other stuff too. But this is the rug here, and you see it's got these lamb's tongues all around. This, to me, if this is a commercial pattern, I'm shocked, because it doesn't strike me as one. This strikes me as a 19th century pattern that really sort of is a hat tip to the craze for architectural style, detail, design, you know, at the end of the 19th century. People loved architectural lines, sort of Greek revival style lines. Now, this looks to me like a play with a scroll that turned organic, right? Like a very architectural scroll that turned organic with these sweet leaves of three, right? Leaves of three, let it be, poison ivy, but it's not poison ivy. I just think this rug is so beautiful. It sort of echoed a wallpaper design to me, like almost like a wallpaper freeze kind of a thing. Beautiful, I'll bring it a little bit closer even. Beautiful background colors. Lots of mixed colors in the background. You see all those colors kind of popping out. And the lamb's tongues, there's some, mostly cotton I'm seeing in here, a little bit of wool, mostly cotton. Some pieces that look like they could be satin or silk. Some multis, there's a nice multi on this corner. But super, super, super fine. I just loved it. Let me turn the back around. My shoulder still hurts. So I don't want to do too much heavy, crazy shoulder stuff. But this is what the back looks like. So, you know, it's got like a fabric edging to it. Somebody's finished it off real well. And they've actually, let me see if I can bring this in focus, shoulder and all. Can you see how they've stitched into the side of that? Is that sort of in focus? Oh, I can't lift it much better than that with one arm. I'll take a close-up. Ooh, for Facebook, that hurt. Damn this shoulder. But anyway, I just thought that this was an extraordinary thing. So I was very happy with that find. Eric Nesbitt, what a nice guy, right on the main street in Woodstock. Beautiful town, beautiful antique store. What a find. I absolutely just love this, and I love the colors, right? Like lots of pastels. The yellow is like a Tweedy mix. There's a few Tweedy mixes. I love it when they run out of color and they kind of just put something else in there. It's such a nice old rug. And then in a different town called Bellows Falls, another stellar rug, another stellar town. Let me turn this around. This is tricky. I am so careful with this rug because this is the best rug I've ever had. I shouldn't, and I can't get the camera insanely far from it, so I'm going to show you it piece by piece. Let me show you first. Sorry. There we go. So it's a horse rug. I'm going to try to bring you in closer up. This came from an antique dealer in, I don't want to hold it up because I'm afraid to. this is the best rug I own, right? And this is, I shouldn't be able to buy this rug because this rug should have cost way more. But it's a beautiful horse rug. All right, let me see. Yeah, it's hard to get up there high enough. You know what I'm going to do? Hang on. Stick with me. It's going to be worth it. I don't recognize this pattern at all. It came from an antiques dealer in Long Island. I have it hanging off the edge of the table because it's big. And it is a little bit fragile. It's not crazy, but it's old and it's already had some repairs. And to me, you know, I looked at this for a long time. And to me, this is like it's got scrolls on the corner. This is a museum rug. So I was really, I could afford it, and I was really not going to leave it because, sorry, I'm going to take some good pictures of it, like professional type pictures of it, but I just want to give you a preview of it here. And let me bring you in close again. You can see the texture and the amount of loss there's been over the years, but also the amount of great details. I mean, this is the kind of thing that if this wasn't a museum, I would be looking at it for a really long time. And let me show you carefully, really carefully, some of the back. Ooh, do a little bit like this. So I won't do too much of this business, but you can see there are some old repairs on it. Let me see what you all are saying. I know, Mom, I thought of you when I saw the horses. Horses are not exactly my subject because, you know, I'm terrified of their big butts and their big piano key teeth. But this horse, look at all these little things that people have done over time. It's a remarkable amount of work that people have put into repairing this. Let me show you the repairs on the other side. I'm probably going to want to mount this rug the way that you saw the last one because of its age. I wish I knew more about the dealer who owned it in her personal collection for her whole life passed away, and then these guys on the main street in Bellows Falls snapped it up. So I don't know anything about it beyond that, but like I said, there's a lot of old repairs in there, and I just thought it was, I mean, how can one pass this up, honestly? Got a little thing on it there, but give you one more shot best I can. It's a big rug, right? So enough of that. Let me get you back to the show. Hang with me for just a minute while I get this thing back on the table. There we go. Sorry, don't get motion sick. We got this. I'm going to flip you back around. This should be a two-monkey show, right? Oh no, I screwed it up. All right, hang on. One more close-up while I fool with technology. I'm actually fooling with a screw. And then let's do some commentary. Goes to show there are still, yeah, they absolutely, Carol, they valued this thing. You know, I was thinking for a second, is this a frost pattern? Could this be? No, it can't be a frost pattern. Look at the way that it's stylized. I mean, that would be impossible, I think. So let me bring you back here. Sound of things breaking, that's always good, right? Let's see. There we go. Now, if I were to come back here, I'm back on camera. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm real happy with both of these finds. And like I say, you know, I know some of you just don't find stuff when you're out hunting, and that's super, super frustrating and disappointing. It's a regional thing, isn't it? If you're lucky enough to find stuff, but good enough. I do find stuff a lot, and usually when I find rugs like these two, again, they're like $1,200, $1,700, $2,500, like that kind of a price. And I really feel like if I had looked at the price ticket on that horse, just to give you an idea, the price was $395, and he gave me $100 off. So $365, and he gave me $100 off. So I know what you're thinking, Mom. I spend money like I'm a Rockefeller, but there was no way I was leaving. There was no way I was leaving that rug there. And when he gave me $100 off, I thought, I cannot insult this man. This is a museum piece. I fully expected when I flipped the tag for it to be like $1,365. And if it had been, for example, $3,365, I would not have been surprised at all. So there being no thousands in front of it, I thought, oh, I do buy a lot of stuff and I need to keep buying supplies. But how could I possibly leave that rug there? Particularly when there's a giant brass bird cage that weighs 10 tons sitting on top of it and another random wooden footstool, because it's definitely not helping the state of the rug. So that stuff always upsets me when I see that. You don't want something with brass claw feet ripping away at a rug that's obviously a 19th century rug and already fragile. Thanks, Mom. She's doing a little bit of enabling. I'm not going crazy. And the other rug was very affordable. It was about, I want to say $85.95. Eric gave me a great deal, which I really appreciated. And I'm going to constantly stop and look for more rugs with him because he's got a great in there. And he was such a nice person too. You cannot beat that. So I'm very happy. Those are the two things that I found. Very happy with them. Yep, and I just wanted to show you the eagle is, I'm already getting to the end here. The eagle is in the same spot, but that is going to change when I dye later today and get more of that background in. I am going to go for this kind of valance, broader stripes rather than the small stripes. The small stripes just were ruining my life, so that ended, and broader stripes. And I also wanted to show, that shoulder. I also wanted to show you, I started work on the flying bird. Remember I said I was going to use all of Diane Collins from the velvet hook, mostly all velvet on this piece to do the bird. It's very hard to see right now because I've done the background. I got quite far. It's a fairly big piece. It's going to be, there's a woman here, her face is here, her hands are stretched out this way. Yeah. I haven't done her at all. Her body's wrapping around here and she's got a little foot right here. She's riding on this bird, which is also partially done. And so far it's done all in velvet. I haven't done the border's going to be straight wool. That's more like this kind of color, but with more peach. I've got a lilac sort of grass ground on it, and I'm going to do autumn colored trees, very stylized, very unrealistic colors. I'm thinking of it as kind of a medieval illumination, but I have to tell you more on this subject, but I have to tell you working with velvet is a treat and a dream. It is not, I haven't tried punching it yet, and I keep promising Diane that I will. But this, for me, my favorite is hooking with yarn. I like hooking with strips. I'm not a huge puncher. I love hooking with yarn, but I have to say my favorite is hooking with velvet. It is so forgiving using this material. It just, like, every time you pull a loop up, it just inflates itself, pops up. And reaches out to meet the thing beside it. It is so amazing working with it. It does kick back a bit of lint, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You get a bit of glitter, Christmas style glitter a little bit early, but it is such a dream to work with because it is so soft. It's so easy to pull. It stretches so much. One strip goes such a long way. I started out with a little cutting board, the rotary cutter like Diane says, and a ruler, cutting very careful, sort of equidistant strips, my quilting ruler precision. And I'm at the point now where I either sit and cut with scissors if I'm in a real thing and I don't feel like, sitting up at all. Laziness, not arm. But I've gotten to the point where I have a little cutting board that I borrowed from my mom, at the bottom of the couch with the rotary, and by eye, I'm just cutting strips. That's, I'm sure, not how Diane would recommend doing it, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to tell how wide your strips are. They're all beautiful and lush and fluffy, puffety. So no matter, how wide the strip is going to be, the wider the strip is, the more it wants to bend in the middle, and then you've got a shape, right? Then you're talking about directional hooking and shapes. Let me show you an example of what I mean. The thinner, the more sort of swirls you can do that are not quite so shape driven. Let me see if that's even coming into focus. But the larger, you can see larger, like this one here, right at the edge of this opening. When you do a much wider strip, that would be like a 10. I cut that to what would be like a 10 wide. So super wide, it does want to fold in the middle. It wants to ruche like material does, particularly velvet. So, and then when you do skinnier ones, you can do much more sort of filigree fine type work like I'm working on in the wings here. So, it's such an easy thing to do. You cut, you rotary cut, you get the strips, so much more on that because I'm going to do 2 more designs this month, the ice cream design, and then I have another design, a green animals topiary design that's just about to come out that I'm also going to hook a lot of it in velvet. And I'm working with Diane on those projects at the velvet hook. So super, super fun. Yeah, the thing about the velvet is super easy to hook. And again, I haven't tried punching it yet, so let me know if you have. Um, yeah, I might have dislocated it. I'm not sure. I'm such a disaster. I probably should go to the doctor. Cynthia says Diane is the best. She's so helpful. She dyed the velvet especially. Yeah, she is so helpful and she is so nice. She's a real authority on braiding too. She's one of the authors of the book, the Schiffer book on braiding, rug braiding for a border. She's so nice. The quality of her work is so good. She's very accommodating and helpful, and she's very sweet to work with. So it's a real pleasure buying from her, using her material. And again, the thing about the velvet, and I don't want to overstate it to put you off, but it does create a lot of lint because of that high pile, right? And this is stretch velvet. This isn't like silk velvet. So you are not going to be blocking it afterward, and you do not need to block it afterward. I did very sort of higgledy-piggledy hooking, and I always do. It's not the perfect height all over, but it's very hard to tell with the velvet because of the way it performs. You pull a loop up, it's pretty close to the loop next to it. And the amazingly good thing about working with velvet is when you sit back and look at it, a few minutes later, and you think, oh, that one loop is really low. Unlike wool, when you pull it up, it pulls right up, and it doesn't take any of the loop around it on side to side. It doesn't take that with it because it has so much stretch. You can pull one loop up quite a bit, and it will not affect the loops next to it. They are in there until you really pull them. So in that manner, I love it because I notice when I'm not a big one for super even pile, but when I notice that one is really like deep in a gully, like it's really too low, it's nice to pull it up and have no sort of domino effect of everything near it disappearing like quicksand, like shark attack under the canvas. So that's a huge plus. One of the things that I'm doing differently, if you're getting into hooking with velvet too, one of the things I'm doing differently with hooking with velvet, and this is a personal choice that I'm making, I'm leaving my ends underneath, not on the surface. Because when you pull to the surface, it is a synthetic, and it does have, the color is not going to be consistent on the edge. So this is probably going to be impossible to show. But for example, the ends look like the ends. Like they have, I wouldn't say a little bit of white. There's just a tiny bit of white where the pile meets the backing, right? It's not a big deal, but I noticed that when you do keep the tails on the surface, for me it was way more noticeable than when you do with wool, which is the rule. You want to. Is it easy to pull the velvet through by accident because your ends are underneath? Not really, because they're locked into the monk's cloth really well. I'm using monk's cloth. I don't know about with linen, because this is the first time I've tried working with velvet, like this much velvet in one project. So I don't know about with linen, but with monk's cloth, using such wide strips, they aren't going to accidentally pull through because the tails are underneath. Can they pull through when they get on the comb of your frame? Yeah, they can do that, and that did happen to me. It happened to me once making this, like 3 loops came out, so it was like no big deal. But that was the main change for me. I was tempted to be cutting while I was going, one strip at a time with the rotary by eye, not using any kind of machine, because you don't want to use any of your machines to cut a synthetic, right? You're going to kill the blades. So rotary cutter is great, and I used a rotary cutter to do all this. It's like I haven't even begun to use that blade. That blade is going to last a long time. So that'll be nice, knowing that that's there for me. Is the blade is just going to keep cutting hundreds and hundreds of strips of velvet. But it is a lot of fun to work with, I have to say. How does this compare with punching or hooking with velour? I've only ever hooked with velour or velvet. So I'm going to give punching a try. Maybe I'll even give punching with velvet a try today. Diane cuts her strips that she sells. I think I want to say like 6 by 60, something like that. They're quite long. So I could see making it work if it does work. I could see, I don't like punching a regular. The regular to me is like putting a cannon hole through any backing. I don't love it, but other people do. My mom loves the regular. I love the fine punches. But I will try today punching with a regular, and I'll do a video with the velvet. Because if it does work, my point is it's such a good long piece. You know, with the punch, when you're not using yarn and you're using wool strips, as my mom well knows, or anything else, one of your big aggravations with punching is that you run out. You know, you get a strip this big, which is a normal size strip, and you run out immediately. You make a few punches, it's gone, and then you're rethreading it again. And it becomes a question of sanity and how much can you take with rethreading it. That's why punching with yarn is so great, because you're pulling from the center and you've got 300 yards to go. But when you're punching with strips, you are constantly rethreading it, unless your strip is astonishingly long, because you figured that out and you've cut through many layers and you're doing some kind of crazy origami cut that you get a super long wool strip. But with the velvet being 60 inches long, that's quite long. You are going to be sort of reloading more than you would with yarn. But if it works, it's going to be worth it, because the kind of sheen that you get from the velvet, number one plus is the way that it is so forgiving. Pulling it up, so forgiving. You go over the line a little bit, don't even take it out. The loop next to it is going to push it back. You're going to nudge it with your hook or your punch or whatever. You're going to nudge it, and it's going to be like a dog who's been trained for 100 years. It's just going to immediately go to where you want it to go on the first try. You're going to twist it a little bit, and it's going to stay. It is remarkable how easy it is to work with the velvet. So there's lint, and you will see it flying through the air like it's disco night in your living room. But it's just one of those things that if that doesn't drive you nuts, you're going to love the effect, and you're going to love the tactile satisfaction of working with something so soft and luxurious. And, I just feel like, even as a dyer who loves dyeing wool and constantly dyes wool, you can't get the kind of intensity and richness with wool that you can get through with the velvet. I mean, it is so intense, and it's very appealing and very satisfying to work with. And it's a real pleasure to work with. So I'm having a lot of fun with this piece, and a couple more pieces to come. Let's see, I think the nature velvet would give a whole different color variation. Absolutely. Oh, okay, Mom, I'll see you soon. Little Buttons, our little Yorkie, is at the groomer getting a cut because it's getting hot again. It cooled off, and now it's getting hot again. But yeah, that is the thing, Relda, is using a material like the velvet. It gives it a different look. And I hesitated for a long time, a year, thinking, am I looking at fall themes? Am I looking at holiday themes using this sort of rich material, this traditionally rich material? And then I thought, you know what? No. At the beginning of summer, let me do my bird. Let me do my lady with the bird. I'm going to do it like an illumination. I'm going to do the whole thing in velvet, and the borders, where there's I have the moon on one side and the sun on the other side, where there's a border. I'm going to do that part in the very flat, dull wool. It's going to be a beautiful contrast, and they're both going to pop each other as a result. But it gives you a glow. It gives you a different feel. It looks more like a painting to me, even with this insanely wide cut. This is, again, it's like I'm cutting to a 10. It's not even like an 8 or a 9. Even with this big wide cut, Diane's, in the background, I used her, she does the cassolettes, like a casserole, that come with one big piece that's a multi, and then she sort of pairs, I want to say 3 or 4 solid colors with it. So for this part in the background, I used one of her cassolettes that was kind of vanilla colors, cream colors mixed with blues and grays. And this is all one color, just cut strips, multi. It's only one piece that I used for the background. One cassolette, and I still had some left over. Down here, where it's all different colors of purple, I used 3 or 4 different of her purples that I had. So, it's same thing. I was getting mixed effects. Same with the bird. I used a few different shades of blue, and I'm not done with him yet. Same with the border. I used a few different shades of kind of cranberry and sort of an icy raspberry. But she does do these cassolette things that are multis, and they're larger. And, the general rule is your piece of material is going to cover about a quarter of the space that piece is. I would say with velvet, I'm not going to give you a number because I'm going to get called out on it if someone has a rug hooking disaster, but it's more. It's definitely more. The velvet goes much further because it stretches so much. It's again, it's apples and oranges. It's something different. It feels great as you go. It's very, very satisfying pulling every loop up and seeing it glow. So it's fun and exciting, and I do have some stuff coming out that does include velvet. So if you want to try it with one of my kits, if you want to shop directly with Diane at the Velvet Hook, she's always there. Her website is great. She's often doing sales and promotions, but her pieces that are like 6x60 are like $6. I mean, that is nothing for such gorgeous colors. It's so much utility too. It goes such a long way. But I will be coming out with some things in conjunction with her that are kits if you want them already colored, planned, stuff like this. That's all coming this month too. Like I said, there's 3 velvet kits that are possibilities for this month. Well, this is off subject, but have you tried Blue Emu Cream on my shoulder? No, I haven't. I've never even heard of it. I will give it a shot. You know, the thing with, as you know, so many people have sent such nice messages to me. I did this by falling down a skate ramp with my flip-flops on, no wheels, just shoes, and grabbing out for the fence and dropping all of my tremendous new weight onto my shoulder. It super hurt. It was one of those things you start laughing and you're crying while you're laughing. And then you want to punch someone's face, but there's no one's face to punch, and you really shouldn't anyway. So, it was one of those things, and I keep thinking, I'm going to sleep it off. I'm going to sleep it off. This is just the way I am. This is my personal medical philosophy. Like, I'm going to sleep it off, and it's going to go away. So, bad, but it hasn't gone away, and it actually just keeps getting worse. So I'm doing the cry laugh. So I'm going to try the Blue Emu. I'm going to try anything I can try. Thank you for that suggestion. I'm going to shop on Amazon in a minute. I'm going to see if it's there. Not that I'm pro Amazon, but they're super handy, and I want it tomorrow. So Kirsten, yeah, I'm in love with the velvet too. So to be continued. I'm going to be working on that, working on the eagle. We didn't get to any commentary tomorrow, so I will change the story for this episode. Okay, great, Carol. That's great. Good information. Is it a pharmacy item or is it like a specialty item? Because last time I tried something wacky, my sister gave me this product called Egyptian Magic for this bad burn I got from a lamp on the bedside table. It fell down when I was half asleep and just burned my arm, like a big hole in it. And that Egyptian Magic did nothing and took forever to come, but had a gloriously mysterious name. But this Blue Emu sounds way better. Yeah, there's probably a tear. There's probably a tear. Oh well, there's definitely these kinds of tears because it's driving me nuts. So tomorrow, let's look at this book. I got this while I was away too at an antique store. It was like, this book's like $5, 50% off. Yeah. So how could I not? I had never seen it before. Let's look at this tomorrow. Handcrafted Rugs by Sandra Hardy. It ties in nicely back, published in 2001. Ties in nicely to our Friday episode, British rugs. Different language, different rugs, different styles. We'll talk about in this book what's good, what's bad, what's notable. What are the original ideas in this book? What are the original ideas? Is it worth getting this book for you? Does it have enough original ideas to make it worth getting for you? So it's over the counter. Okay, good. So that will be our episode for tomorrow. I hope you liked looking at the 2 rugs that I found. That was the bulk of our show today. I cannot wait to get them. I cannot wait to get the horse a little bit safer and get him on the wall because he's like a tapestry size. Haven't measured him yet, but that really is my best find that I found so far. Something that original and neat. And I feel like being such a brown rug with russet colors, not usually my thing. I feel like it has to be displayed. I'm gonna have to paint a wall like bright grape or something like that. Grape juice grape. And put these dark rugs I have, because I've got a slew of really dark 19th century rugs. Horse goes right in the middle. Horse goes right in the middle. Anyway, it was great being back. It was great seeing you. I hope you're going to have a super nice day. I'm going to continue. I'm going to get some orders out. I'm going to spend the whole afternoon/evening working on dyeing. So if you've ordered something from me in the last week that involves wool, I might have already shipped because I had it in stock, but there's a few things that I needed to dye. So those things will make their way out tomorrow. I'll dye them this afternoon and evening, and they'll be dry by tomorrow. So I'll get all those orders out. And in the meantime, have a great afternoon. Don't forget about Hook and Book Club this coming Sunday. Don't forget to lock that in on your Zoom calendar, because I know there's going to be people who write on Monday morning and say, oh no, I forgot about the Hook and Book with Deyevna. I can't believe I did it. But don't let that person be you. You know, don't let that person be you. Um, so that's coming up. And anyway, I will see you all tomorrow, and we will look at this book. Oh, thank you, Relda. See you tomorrow, everybody.